playing hard bullet wrong? What if the most fun way to play is with less to work with? I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean, but you gotta see this tactical reload first. Okay, don't get me wrong, that was pretty fun, but how long's it gonna last? They're just target dummies. Hard bullet is kind of like the combat simulator from The Matrix. Yes, The Matrix again. Deal with it. Do you remember that dojo?
Show me. This is a sparring program.
Or the place with all the racks of guns that Neo and Morpheus go to? That's Hard Bullet. It's a physics sandbox for combat where anything goes. The main game mode I play is called Patrol. You start with a couple of dollars and you can buy a gun or two, and then you have to fight through 3 different levels of progressively more difficult waves of enemies. I'm playing on PCVR with the Valve Index because we're still waiting for the Steam frame to come out. But a lot of sandboxes are blown wide open and feel shallow, so you play around for a bit and then lose interest. It's kind of like when you turn cheat codes on and it saps all of the fun out of the game after the initial dopamine hit. When you just run and gun in this game, it's kind of forgettable because when you remove the struggle, you forget the place. Friction lives in the janky early access blood of this title, but what most reviewers would call flaws are actually the reason I'm here. This game is one of the best ways to blow off steam. It's stress relieving, cathartic, and even though it looks kind of chaotic on camera, it can really put you in a zen-like flow state. The game's made by a small but mighty VR studio who's been consistently dropping updates for quite some time. Graphically, it's getting better, especially the lighting. Audio's better too. There's a lot of physics jank and controls jank, so sometimes things can feel broken. The gunplay is good, but it's not quite at the same level as something like Contractor's Exfil Zone, which is the gold standard. But here's the most important part of the review. The game's just too easy. I think a lot of people probably play Hard Bullet for very short play sessions and then get bored and do something else. I have been killed by the NPCs in this game, but there's not a lot of restrictions. You can use infinite slow-mo, so you start to feel like you're the one and everybody else is a dipshit with a gun. This is a single-player early access game, but for the price, 16 American dollars, is it a steal or is it just going to be more shelfware for you? Here's the part most people miss. There's a whole lot more to do in Hard Bullet once you start challenging yourself. A challenge run is a self-imposed restriction that creates a mini game within the game. For example, playing with only pistols, or never using slow-mo, or both of those restrictions at the same time. If you saw my Forever Winter video where breaking the game was the point all along, this is the same idea but in VR, and it fixes the exact problem that most people have with this game. So let's try a challenge run role-playing as John Wick and see how much more satisfying the gameplay is. But how deep have I got into this game? Well, I've played 15 hours over the last year, and it all started because I saw a YouTuber slow-mo slaughter a bunch of NPCs in like the most cinematic fight ever. And that's when I realized I had to have it. I went on to make 4 other videos about Hard Bullet because it really helps you get your frustrations out after a long day at work, which is kind of sick if you think about it, but here we are. If you want to see those videos, stay tuned to the end of this one. A couple of them were challenge runs trying to play the game with restrictions to emulate John Wick. He primarily uses pistols, martial arts, and occasionally steals an enemy's weapon. Later on he grabs a shotgun and a rifle, but that's when things start to escalate in the story. So I became the Baba Yaga with my single pistol and set of rules for this challenge. I can only enter with my Glock 17, use minimal slow-mo, deliberate shots, and occasionally steal an enemy's weapon. Running and gunning, like I showed you at the beginning of this video, just feels empty after a few times. It's too easy, and you don't have time to take in the details and really live in this world. But give the game some room to breathe, slow it down, and the friction starts to seep in. Do self-imposed restrictions make Hard Bullet more fun and immersive? For me, absolutely. Is the difference between a 15-minute play session or an hour-and-a-half one, and that's how you start to reach 15 hours of playtime in a game like this. You need to set a goal that's worthwhile to you. I do think it's worth 16 American dollars, and I recommend it in its current state. It's like Blade and Sorcery set in the present day, but with less features and polish. But this game's pretty simple, and it may not interest you if you really want a story campaign or progression systems. And honestly, you don't get a game like this without ambitious devs who leave the friction in. Jank is just the price we pay for the most unique experiences in gaming, and challenge runs are how you find those sometimes. I'm Adam, this is Seagrave Gaming, and tell me in the comments what challenge you would take on. Would you play like John Wick, or maybe you'd play like Deadpool? Maybe somebody else. Let me know.